Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Hope you're doing well today. Oh, man, I just remembered something I was supposed to do because I know that today is Wednesday. I was supposed to call my son's dentist to try to change the appointment. Darn it. I set an alarm for it too. Somehow I missed it. I don't know why I didn't hear it. Oh man. We'll see if I can slip in there tomorrow. So crazy. It's like adult dentists, you could get in there good as tomorrow. But the pediatric dentist, or his anyway, which is a really good one, if you need to get a quick appointment or change an appointment, man, it's like a daggone exclusive club. You gotta know somebody to know somebody. Nah, but really you gotta see if any appointments get canceled or missed, and then you can get in there. But nothing serious, but I wanted to get them in sooner than later. Anyway, enough about me. That was random. Today is Wednesday. I know that for a fact, and it is March 6th. I don't know, maybe you are, I'll just say maybe you need to smile a little bit more. Maybe that's what that was all about, to be mindful of doing things and experiencing things that actually put more of a smile on your face. And sometimes, believe it or not, we can forget to do that. You'd be surprised how I go through the course of my day and then something makes me smile and I realize, you can feel like, wow, I haven't been smiling today, because you can feel the difference in your energy and or even in your face if you catch yourself actually smiling. Me, fun fact, I have a dimple in my left cheek, and when I don't smile for a long time for some reason, and then I smile, it is much deeper than when I'm like smiling consistently a lot. So that's like my indicator to know. I know it's kind of silly, but that's like my indicator to know, like, oh, you haven't been smiling much. When I do catch myself smiling and I see that dimple is a little bit deeper than it typically is, I don't know why it's that way, but that's the indication for me, an actual physical indication. So I don't know what it could be for you, but I like I say, I never say nothing for no reason. So there's always a purpose behind even the most primitive messages, so they seem. And certainly we can't be reminded enough to smile because of how it raises our vibration and our frequency to then be an attractive force for more things, a magnetic force for more things that bring us joy and peace. All right, so enough on that. All right, and I love it to start with the Nine of Pentacles. She's kind of smiling. Let's see, she's not showing teeth or anything, but the Nine of Pentacles is always a strong indication of satisfaction, okay? Like, this is somebody that is quite satisfied in her independence, secure in her personal expression. Like, her confidence is pretty grounded, pretty stabilized. She's just a sound energy with the Nine of Pentacles, like really not desiring for much, whether it be energetically so or materially so. And for me, that's a fantastic place to be. It actually is a great synergy between where my prayer led today, right before I press record, about independence and security and stability and just flourishing and thriving in your own vitality, you know, like in your sovereignty, really is the word that I used. And appreciating all the things that get you there or got you there, even to this very point, but certainly being quite secure in how you stand alone. You know, not saying that you wouldn't be open, because I always like to say with the Nine of Pentacles, this is an energy that's open to companionship, partnership, whatever, you know, whatever the co-creative opportunity may be, as long as it's in alignment with what she's already begun to cultivate for herself. It adds value to it. And that could be platonically, intimately, professionally, socially, you know, creatively, any range of co-creativity here. But she could also be very, very satisfied doing her own thing. This is like the epitome of a do you type of card with the Nine of Pentacles. The only thing missing is the 10, which is, you know, which brings in the expression of partnership and co-creation or procreation, and an extension of that legacy beyond just herself in the physical form. So yeah, I feel like it's a great foundation, as I call her, the single lady. You know, it's a great foundation, a precursor for partnership, to be in this type of energy where you're not necessarily dependent on anything or anyone, but, you know, the more the merrier, as long as it truly is merry. You know what I mean? So it's a good way to start. So let's see where we continue on with this energy, for sure. Definitely, there's not much you can say in a lower frequency about the Nine of Pentacles. Nah, not much. As the devil tried to pop in and pop out. Okay, let's see. Ooh, strength. I love it. Strength card. Strong-willed. Courage. You definitely don't get to the Nine of Pentacles being weak. That's for sure. Because it even takes a great deal of courage to stand firm on whatever principles that you believed in, even in the investment of yourself, to get to a point where you could stand in as a sovereign spirit, independent and secure in who you are and in the accomplishments that you've made in that regard. Yeah, so it definitely makes sense that this energy would be kind of like, the strength would be the precursor to the Nine of Pentacles. And I guess also like the continuum as well, because hell, sometimes it takes a lot to stand independently and be firm in that space without starting to feel you know, that conditioning creep in, and oh man, I need somebody here with me, or you know, I need to feel validated by some external reflection, whether it be in partnership or connection, or even, you know, approval, you know, societally, intimately, or anything in between. It takes a great deal of strength to continue on in this vein of, what is this? This is assurance, you know, like self-assurance, without being distracted or influenced by societal projections, do something different, or to feel like you should desire something different, to be something different even. You know, even as a single lady, sometimes you can be bombarded with the propaganda that you should be married by now, you should have a husband, or you should date a certain type of guy, or you should be pursuing a certain career, or you should have a certain level of success at this time, especially if we're talking about age, because that could definitely, it gives young vibes for sure, but given it's the 9, which is just one shy of the 10, it could definitely speak to someone that is mature in their life experience. But it's just somebody that's willing to do it their way, you know, like Frank Sinatra. Which is a very empowering song, if I do say so myself. I'm not gonna sing it, but when I hear it, you know, or when I hear the version of Sinatra singing it, because I believe it's his originally, but I'm not 100% sure. But when I hear that song and how he sings it, even in his way that only Frank can sing it, it does something to me. Sort of like New York, New York. Like nobody can sing that song like Frank, you know, but My Way, it's just like, yeah, that's right. Do it my way. And it's not only, oh, well, okay, but it's not only, and you know what I'm getting even from this 5 of Pentacles, it's like I was just saying, like the projection of you going the wrong way because you choose to do it your way, or a certain type of way. Like this is sometimes what you can get outside of yourself. Like, you know, almost the warning or the caution, like, oh, and it could come from people that actually mean you well, or at least want to believe that they have your best interest at heart. But these projections of how it should be done, sometimes even from the most well-meaning sources, can lead you into a space of despair or depreciation even of the value of your own self, you know, your own identity, really, more I should say. Yeah. To follow the crowd, or to follow some cue of sorts, can sometimes lead to a depreciated identity, or a depreciated independence, or your depreciation in the value of independence. And of course, sometimes when you do it your way, or I should say when you have, because I feel like that's really more so the projection. It's like the past point of evidence that sometimes gets deflected onto you as the potential or the possibility that could evoke fear, which would be the opposite of the Strength card, to want to scramble to, you know, do it the more socially acceptable way, or societally acceptable way, or familial acceptable way, or whatever the expectation tag may be. You know, that's like the point of caution, like, oh, well, the last time I stepped out and, you know, tried to start a business, it didn't do well, and I had to go back to work. Or the last time I tried to, you know, open myself up to love, it didn't really work out too well, and I ended up, you know, in a bad position, and I had to do a lot to overcome that depression, or, you know, that bad breakup, or whatever, you know, whatever the thing may be. But I think it's important, at least at this point of this spread, to remind yourself of the possibilities of prosperity more than you have to reflect and rerun the missteps or mishaps or, you know, moments in time when, you know, there was maybe a so-called failure, or so I should say some unfavorable circumstance. Yeah, and that in itself is strength, because nothing can remind us of what we shouldn't do or, you know, put us in a fearful position in our own minds before anything else. The external cues really play off of the internal anyway, you know, so hence back to why it would take a great deal of strength not only to reach a space such as this, but to maintain it. It's like the entrepreneur that keeps on investing, like somebody that keeps betting on themselves, even when at first, you know, the return is slow. The return on their investment is slow, and there's not quite, you know, the response needed to make it a lucrative investment. But sometimes the spiritual reward is even that much greater than the monetary or material one. So it could be the entrepreneur that hasn't really seen a great what do you call it, a great shoot, why am I lost for the word right now? I can't think of the word. That's crazy. Like a great profit. Jeez, good Lord. A great profit from their endeavors. But it's the sheer freedom and liberty of working for yourself, doing something that you love, getting up every day and committing to something that you truly believe in, that makes sense to you. And maybe not all the dollars and cents that you want, but it makes sense. You know, it adds value. It makes you smile. Back to the beginning, you know, puts a smile on your face, a smile on your heart. That is the energy of the Nine of Pentacles, even more so than the material prominence, even though there's definitely that too. But it starts there because that's what becomes the magneticism for the material, its expansion and advancement, so to speak, where you get to now celebrate. In the Three of Cups here, this is some celebration in order. And, you know, this can also be like bridesmaids, you know, it could be that. It could also be, you know, on the more spiritual side of things. Sometimes I see it as like your ancestors, way showers, guides, heavenly hosts, angelic realms, celebrating your becoming. And in this case, surely there's a great disparity between this independence and what this card can sometimes represent, which is absolute codependence, meaning you're lending your energy to people, places, and things that definitely don't put a smile on your face, first off. And it's like almost like a self-sacrifice for the purposes of survival. But even that is a small return. You know, it is like working the job where you're just working paycheck to paycheck or barely making ends meet, or where you just absolutely literally hate getting up to go every day, but you do it because you feel you have to, because you feel like that's what's necessary to pay the bills, to, you know, to keep food on the table and all of that stuff, which no one is negating, because we know all of those things are necessary. But it's a different vibration when you're surrendering to that reality because you feel like you have no other choice. And when you actually open yourself up to possibilities of prosperity that, you know, may be unconventional or may be a little less understandable or even popularized, particularly by, you know, by social standards or by from your personal experience. Even maybe you've never seen anybody follow their passion and it lead to much, at least nobody intimately so, and maybe you've never been encouraged to do it, or you've always just been more of a sure shot type of person, to do things that are more secure and that feel certain, as if there is such a thing in this society right now. But case in point, you know exactly what I mean. This is the opposite of that. And I do feel like when you liberate yourself, not to say that everybody has to be an entrepreneur or a spiritualist or an artist or, anything of the sort, or that anything conventional or that conventionality is worthless or can't be creative as well. It's not that, but it's just a matter of what really aligns with your spirit and what you're doing, because again, it is a pleasure to do. And, of course, there's the value of a material reward on the other end. And what you feel like, there's the difference between that and what you feel like you absolutely just have to do, and it's a chore and an obligation. I feel like when you're liberated into that space of sovereignty to just take charge over your creative force, the heavenly realms do celebrate that. They celebrate for you and with you. They celebrate for you for coming to that realization. Like, consider some of our ancestors in this lifetime right now. As a matter of fact, our predecessors, our elders didn't feel that they had that luxury, let alone those that have gone on beyond us, that now in hindsight, in holy sight, so to speak, it's like they would be screaming down from heaven into your soul, like, do what you love. For God's sakes, do what you love to do. And then when you finally get through all of the interference and the projections and the propaganda, and even the white noise, which is deafening at times, and you finally get it, like, oh, I can do what I love. It's like, yeah, woo, she got it. Because then you become a frequency by which now they can channel through in some way, shape, or form, because it's all back to that smile. I never say nothing for no reason. The smile is a representation of a raised frequency, of an ascended vibration, of which they can channel through, and two, maybe even live vicariously through, because you're happier. That's a direct transmission for more information, for more intel that will just continue to add value to that experience, whether it be ancient knowledge, whether it be present perspective that can forward the legacy or the dynasty ahead, or foresight to keep the dynasty or the legacy out of threat and danger, like all of that, to literally steer your legacy out of a spirit of scarcity to never return again. That's the energy of the Nine of Pentacles, because she's not attracting anything less at that vibration. She's not truly in her strength, not truly a wise Nine of Pentacles that takes pride in how she's cultivated her person and her surroundings. You're not aligning with someone that's just going to come and just trample all over your garden. You're going to attract someone that's of that caliber or greater, someone that wants to add value to cultivating that space. And then in the spirit of co-creativity, again, procreativity, because it can, even in a professional sense, it still stands. The offspring, or whatever the output of that connection, is now at a raised frequency, a raised vibration, an ascended deliverance of sorts. And what does that do again but further the legacy, advance the legacy, ascend the legacy, you know. So I feel like that's the reason for it. It's like someone overcame poverty, at least a poverty mindset here. And it wasn't easy. This is like overcoming a generational cycle of poverty or scarcity or just a poor mentality, poor spirit, a depreciated value for self, limited possibilities, you know, a scarce mentality, scarce spirit, not knowing the true value of not knowing the true limitlessness of your creative consciousness or your creative abilities, let alone the sovereign. Like, not only do you have the facility, the ability, the skill set to literally create beyond limitations, but you actually have the authority over that process. That's a powerful shift if you just consider a generation removed for some of us, where that you don't find a lot of evidence for that. It's like somebody that didn't necessarily have, like I said, the evidence, definitely didn't get the encouragement by societal standards, definitely doesn't, it's not promoted socially per se, you know, in any truly healthy way. So it's like having to kind of come to that realization by your own inner, your own self-discovery, and again, by the inner guidance that's been speaking through you and to you, is certainly a cause for celebration. Like, that's a great feat to have surmounted. That's cool. No wonder the devil peeked in and peeked out. Yeah, because this is the confusion here. Like, the limitation of choices. Like, you don't have but so much. I'm going to put this over here, actually. You don't have but so, the lie that you don't, this is the best you're going to do, depending on where you're from, who you are, woman or man, whatever your culture is, your socioeconomical status, your education. Like, it's like, these are your choices. Nothing behind the veil, nothing behind that. Don't even worry what's behind that cloud. That doesn't pertain to you. You can choose from these things and these things only and have a nice day. Pretty much, you know. It's like somebody that would be willing to see beyond that and say, no, I think I want something else. You know, like, these are cool and I'll do what I can with what I got, but I believe that there has to be more to it than just that, you know. Let's get one after the Three of Cups. I'm just going to keep going back and forth. Wow, look at that. Temperance. Hell yeah, the angels is partying. Like, we did it! We did it! Yay! It's like your win is their win. That's what I'm feeling. That's amazing. It balances the universe, actually, because it makes up for the sacrifices or even missed opportunities past, the roadways paved, you know, by way of those sacrifices, and the moments in time when, say, said ancestors, predecessors, whether they be blood or not, you know, definitely not limited to that, but those that have come before us just would have had no way of knowing. Like, the channel wasn't stable enough for them to get the message that there's something more other than what they were privy to pave the way for, you know, because obviously each generation has done something more, advanced creation in some new way. Otherwise, we'd still be stuck in one place. But there's only but so far some of our generations before us have been able to truly get even the ones that were exceptionally extraordinary, you know, the real pioneers that they're one of their time, you know, consider, as I said before, it's a lot harder to stand firm lonely on that limb without any support or sound ground to affirm your position, let alone to fortify the future, you know, which is why they are the pioneers, why they are, you know, the true heroes, the real MVPs, you know. But now being in a space and time where we have hindsight, like I said, we got holy sight, however you want to call that. We have more support, even though it doesn't seem that way, but there are more people that are getting bit by the spirit of sovereignty, so to speak, now more than ever before, to at least know that such a thing is possible. It exists. It's you know, you have the potential to at least pursue it or be in alignment for it, as opposed to it just being something like, you know, superficial or even supernatural to consider. There's a greater expansion of knowledge. Not to say it's any easier, because each person still has their own responsibility to walk in that truth. She's a single lady, you know, to really cultivate that reality for themselves. But at least there's a little bit more inspiration out here, I think, more increasing by the day, to support your intentions, you know, to motivate you in that direction. And then with that, like I said, the hindsight, the holy sight, the present, much more clear perspective, and the projection with the lifted veil now from the Seven of Cups, of knowing that there's more beyond that curtain, you know, whereas we can't be so we can't be so easily tricked or what's the right word, like eluded, not eluded, because I know that's not the real word, but like the illusion of there being only but so many options, only so many choices. You know, we have to take the best of the worst, you know. That energy is dissipating as well. That fog is clearing more and more, if not some for all, almost entirely, you know, depending on how dedicated you've been to your own personal ascension and alchemizing your past experiences to co-create with the universe now in real time, to clear that veil away, to clear the channel, to have more of that higher knowledge and intel piercing through, blasting through. It's that frequency of knowing that I'm personifying as ancestors or way showers, guides, or even angelic forces, even the angels. It's like a higher angle of perspective, a broader angle of perspective, a wider range of of awareness, you know, are the angels, you know, that we have access to when we put ourselves in a position to believe for more than what we see. It's like, oh, now they can work with that. They can get in there. They can show you what's behind the veil. And then you become the attractive force to be the evidence, to have the evidence, to do the things even that make that mystical truth a reality in real time. That's far beyond this space of a limited spirit, a scarce spirit where nothing matters but survival. This is definitely a reason for celebration. This is interesting and amazing. Ooh, and I love that this fell upside down, because that's exactly how I'm going to take it. This is that old world mentality of competition, chaos, confusion, definitely coming off the back of this here. I don't know, I might take another one on this side. I'll leave it up. On this, these illusions and maybe even delusions about self. All of that wrapped up in one of who you thought you were, now being discovered that you are so much more, capable of so much more, and just the essence of so much more. It's not even limited to, oh yeah, it's possible for you to do this. It's like, no, you were created, designed, as a matter of fact, to do certain things that have more or less been kept secret from you in a natural form. Intentionally. You are like the biggest kept secret of creation, particularly of your legacy, the legacy that you lead. But certainly of all creation in some way, shape, or form, because whatever it is that you do is unique to your energetic signature. Even if it looks kind of similar to someone else or sounds similar, your energy signature makes it something, it just makes it something like, I don't even know what more to say. It makes it something that's incomparable, something that you couldn't even copycat if you tried. That brings me to another point. I'm gonna get one more card here, but I think I might have something to say about that. Let's see what we got. Which would explain why that devil card popped up. Yeah, I think I do. I think I got something to say about that. And I almost forgot about it because I said I wasn't going to say anything about it unless the cards prompted it anyway. But me saying what I just said kind of reminded me again. And this is like that breadcrumb situation that kind of came up yesterday, and it's given those more lower frequency vibes where someone was, let me just say what I gotta say and see how it ties in. So I had this vision. Well, I don't know if it was a vision. It's kind of a download, a upload, a thought. I don't know. But it was about doppelganger energy, which is like copycat energy. And it was so clear to me. And I had a brush of this thought before, but earlier today it was like crystallizing in a special way that it comes to me like, oh, word? Really? And I had this thought that the doppelganger energy is so much deeper than somebody out here like presenting themselves to be your twin in some way, whether it be professionally, energetically, people out here actually presenting themselves to be you on social media, stealing content of yours and presenting it as their own, stealing ideas and the same, presenting themselves to be an expression of your identity or your energy in some way, shape, or form, like taking your whole vibe, your whole personality and, taking it on and expressing it. It was something that I got about that where it was deeper than just that. That was the physical materialization of it. On the back end, the darker and the more mystical end of things, people have been almost pledging themselves to be in sort of a, how can I say it, like a human voodoo doll type of energy. And I'll tell you that my message yesterday, kind of when I watched it back, I saw that energy particularly in what was coming up for the Queen of Swords in reverse. I'm not trying to drag that energy into here, but I know it must have a place right now for me to say it because I feel called to just express it. And people, it's like in these energies of you, of of people trying to kind of like siphon your energy and also siphon the fortune and the favor that comes along with that. What they were trying to do on the back end, maybe not for everybody, so take it as it resonates, but what I saw is that on the back end, there may have been someone that put themselves in the position to be like you as a living doll of sorts. Could picture this. And these ceremonial rituals or in these like mystical experiences, what do you call it? Rituals and I don't know what to call it, but like I guess rituals or whatever. All the hurls, like when I'm talking about negative projections, I saw this image of someone being the one to stand in as you while they're taking abuse. They're taking in all of the insults, the hate, maybe even physical abuse, maybe some type of spiritual mutilation, or like just going to the extremes depending on whom is in alignment for this. I feel like it gets much darker and deeper in some ways than others, where some might just literally be using some golem of you of sorts to hurl insults and abuses and negativities toward. But I feel like somebody that had the mind to become you, literally the ones that doppelganger energy where they wanted to almost absorb your identity, took on the back end the abuse. It was supposed to be like a humanistic sacrifice to project upon you, where they would take it all in. Like imagine someone being in a circle and just getting like ripped to shreds, verbally, mentally, psychologically, maybe physically, maybe ravaged in a sexual way, like everything nasty that you could possibly think of, that they were supposed to embody and hurl towards you as a projection. And that was supposed to be the energetic, psychic, spiritual attack that depreciated your senses to this point of the Five of Pentacles, so that there could be this invasion or corruption of your frequency that would disrupt your intel, otherwise depreciate your self-awareness and assuredness, and bring you to a low, like captivate you, as a matter of fact, at a lower frequency for any magnetism for anything higher than that. That was a spiritual tactic, as dark as it sounds. That was a spirit. So when I'm saying like it wasn't a small feat, and it didn't really click to me the way that it's showing up here until this moment, but it wasn't a small feat for you to stand on 10 toes down, while for some the world was being hurled at you, like every negative offense, every illusion and delusion, every insult, every insecurity, every some people even, and here it is with this Five of Wands in reverse, where all of this energy was being balled up and projected towards you. Here is people fighting against themselves in the upright, but it was people creating a chaotic experience for the purposes of projecting it and deflecting it onto you to create this outcome to what? Advance off of your be enriched off of your wealth, to be enriched off of your legacy, your gifts, that's what it really is, gifts, your brilliance, your favor, your fortune, by way of, as I said, that spiritual affluence that not only did you embody and maybe even inherit naturally, since we're talking about angels, ancestors, way showers, and guides, but that you were chosen and exalted to be the protector of, and also the advancer of. Not just to keep it safe, but also to advance it to new heights, to advance the legacy and the dynasty to a more ascended expression of creation. That's what you were ordained to do. And that was the projection of opposition that was being used, as a point of attack for some, as I said, in close proximity to you, those that knew you and knew how to offend you psychologically or subconsciously, and even in some ways quite overtly and in your face, if you will. But a lot of it was very subconscious, very behind the scenes, behind the veils, and dark corridors of creation, where you would expect to find it, where you would least expect to find it. But it was all very intentional. Like I said, like somebody literally putting them in the position to take all of that dark energy and almost ball it up into one big, like like atomic bomb of sorts, and hurl it your way to completely obliterate your chances of ascending to anything more beyond what they pretty much ordained you to be capable for, which would most likely be a rerun of the scarcity mindset of whence you came to some degree. And that's what's been happening to generation after generation. So it wouldn't have just happened to you. This is what the ancestors had to overcome. And that's why I say in hindsight and holy sight, they see what's going on. They see the pitfalls that honestly that we entrap ourselves in, that make us a prime candidate, or a prime target for these points of attack. And that's why they attach to us to help pull us out and lead us into, to lead us not into temptation, to deliver us from evil to some degree, from even the wiles of ourselves, that would ascend us in a way that we would become protected and in some ways completely untouchable by those advances, where those attacks, those, like I said, you become too strong for those advances, and it doesn't even stick to you or affect you or impact you the same way that it would have before when you were in a lower frequency, or when you were just unaware altogether, because awareness certainly is key to this here. Like I said in the beginning, you just recognizing that you have more choices than what's being presented is a point of celebration in itself, let alone all that I just said to you, of which I know sounds quite fantastical. Oh, you hear that? Hear that siren? Sounds fantastical, but I know I didn't have that thought, whatever it was, call it a vision, call it a download, an upload, an awakening, whatever it was, like I saw that clear as day. Oh, and so the other side of that, the doppelganging, the turnaround is that once that obliteration was supposed to happen to you and you were depleted to nothing in this Five of Pentacles, then your energy would have been primed for someone to really mount it upon themselves, because now you're out the way. You're not posting videos. You're not being a pillar in your community. You're not creating, viable businesses and opportunities for advancement for yourself or for others. You're not just living your best life, doing you, literally doing you. In the sacredness of your own sovereignty, like that energy can't be mounted because it's too potent, for it to be. It really can't be duplicated, which is also my point, and it certainly can't be stolen. So in order for it to be truly absorbed, as one would want to kind of like wear your spiritual skin to some degree, they would have to pretty much rip your soul from it. To literally detach you from your soul, or at least your spirit in this realm, so that they could wear your skin as an intruder or a perpetrator or whatever, like a fraud, pretty much. So get into that, why don't you? So layer that on to just being the one to just do something a little bit different than what everybody else does. Layer on the fact that not only were people bothered by your audacity, let's just call it what it is, because that's how they look at it, or your ambition, your pride, your, in a good way, boldness, your courage, to do something out of the box. They were so threatened by it that they wanted to strip you that um, of that privilege, okay? Keyword privilege, favor, and they wanted to the deep part is not only did they not want you to have it, but then they felt like they were they were, what's the right word, entitled to it. Now that's the real audacity, that once they depleted you of it, then they could take it on for themselves. And that's where a lot of these plots and plans kind of fell short. And this is the energy here where people were literally like divvying up your energy, especially when you were unaware, like sharing it amongst, a community. Somebody deciding, oh, you can have this, you can have, like almost how they say when Jesus was on the cross and they were like auctioning off his things, for, I forget the term that's used, but like they were auctioning off his something for lots. I forget what's that term that's used. It may come to me. But basically they just were like selling them right in front of his face as he was dying on the cross, pretty much. That's how people were with you, but energetically, like, well, you can take this and you could take that and I'll take this. And it's like people were like bargaining for your blessings or for your fortune in some way, shape, or form. And in some ways it could have been very actual and practical. There are plenty of pentacles to account for that, like where there was a fortune attached to you and people had their heart set on, how it was going to be dispersed based, after your demise. And that demise could have been indefinitely, like dead, or you just being diminished to such a poor mental and spiritual and psychological state that you wouldn't even be like, you wouldn't be able to account for your own assets, let alone your own, or at least that's how they made you look anyway, or wanted to bring you to the point of it looking like you were not capable of taking care of yourself, so therefore they could absorb your assets that way. Britney Spears type stuff, Wendy Williams type stuff, poor woman. Like, I know while we at it that some people think like, well, that's her karma and this and that. I can't say for sure. Of course, it makes sense that some of the things that are kind of transpiring may be connected to, how she chose to express her creativity, to make other people a spectacle, and now she becomes a spectacle. But there's some other foul play going on there spiritually. And I do believe to some degree that hopefully Wendy's covered in a way, at least in legacy, by those that really love her around her, that if nothing else, she would be used to really expose this whole spirit of, what the hell is it called? The Britney Spears effect. Guardianship. Like, who the hell is to decide how somebody spends their money once they've made it? Were you in the studio when she was working them long hours? Now, it's one thing to be worried. Oh, shoot. It's one thing to be worried, like legitimately worried of her being taken advantage of by family or otherwise, because we know that's a thing. We can't deny that. But it's a whole nother to just decide for someone that they shouldn't be able to handle their money. And we can clearly see that there's something going on with Wendy. But like I said, when you're open to certain vibrations to have their way with you, as she clearly was, consider her vices, and also the types of people that were probably are hanging around her, being disconnected from family. Or maybe not so much. Maybe that being part of the problem too. Who knows? Can't put it past anything or anyone. But that's what leaves you open to the infiltration of these spirits that will put you in such a condition as her, where it ain't just alcohol. That ain't just, you hear that? That ain't just Wendy drinks too much. That is spiritual interference. That is drawing that woman out of her mind. And if I pray it's not her ultimate fate to go out like that, but if not for some deliverance in some way, shape, or form, I don't know how she gets to survive it. You know, I really don't. Let me just get one more here so I can get out of here, because the incense is already low. And I've been a bit long-winded lately. What's that? Yeah, look at this. As I'm talking about Wendy, that she's not capable of making her own decisions. She's not in her right mind. She's not trustworthy. And that's the energy that somebody wanted for you, potentially. You know, that was the intention of the affliction, spiritually and naturally. Because when they couldn't get you energetically or spiritually, then they also started to tamper with your physical environment by other ways, you know, whether it be spreading rumors or actually causing interference or infractions in your security, your stability, your independence, making it hard for you to advance or secure yourself, and which ultimately would have an effect on, you know, how you advance or how you excel spiritually or actually, you know, in any way, shape, and form. And, you know, I know what I'm saying. I'm saying what I'm saying for a reason, particularly about Wendy, is that something ain't right there. Something is not right there. Somebody is projecting some energy toward that woman that really has latched on to her. And I don't think it has to be hopeless. But she may go through this season of torment to some degree until there is a spirit that can help usher her into some space of deliverance and security with herself. The way that whatever it is that's attacking her body, her eyes bulging out. I know the Graves' disease and the this and the that, and there's all types of labels and names for it all, but that is spiritual, and it is highly advanced and aggressive, and it has to be coming from some intimate space, whether it be somebody close to her or that has enough access to her energy. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that. But has enough access to her energy to make an impact that would last. And I don't know, like, really, Wendy needs to be somewhere where she can, like, spiritually detox and regenerate herself in a space that's neutral, maybe connected to nobody that she knows, family or friends. And I don't even know if that, I mean, it still may take some time, but at least to get to her to a grounded point where she can realize, like, doesn't seem to be quite aware of, and they say it's like dementia or whatever. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that's what that is. That's some type of demonic projection and possession that exactly, by people close that will have an interest in her affairs. People that have an interest, and then when you see the guardian, like, who the hell are you? How do you get to that? Don't make no sense to me. Y'all know this sometimes gives me bank or courthouse vibes, but underground, like, sneaky stuff. Now, it's one thing with Brittany, which I also think was some BS, but at least it was her father. You knew who the hell that was coming from. Somebody close to her that would be able to say, even though, again, that was still some BS, because they were creating the problem and then chastising for her, or like, slaying her for it, physically and professionally and materially, like literally creating the issue and then making her a victim of it. But that was still her dad. This lady is like, who are you? How do you get to just step in? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not saying it's okay, but if the family spends up all the money, then that's her prerogative, as the one who made it. But I don't feel like it should be up to someone to conserve the conservatorship, not guardianship, that's the word, to conserve anything for anybody that didn't have a connection to it, that didn't make it, didn't raise it, none of that. Like, this country, sometimes I'm just astounded at the things that we just accept as truth, like, oh, well, so like I was saying, I hope that the worst case scenario, or maybe I guess worst case, because maybe it wouldn't get any worse than this, that Wendy is being used to kind of champion some type of, liberation for people that are in this position, which I'm sure we know she's not the last. Well, we know she's not the first, and hopefully maybe those that are experiencing it alongside of her, even in present time, that maybe aren't in the spotlight, that are secretly going through this in some quiet corner of the nation, that don't necessarily have a platform or a persona, but are being disenfranchised all the same. It's like, what are we doing here? This is not your money, ma'am. Let that lady live in peace for however much time she has left. And like I said, karma comes through in miraculous ways, and we can't account for it. But I still feel that the evidence speaks clearly that there's more at play than what I would say is justifiable, and also that should stand beyond a reasonable judgment, regardless of her past or whatever. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I also feel like it's an opportunity for there to be glory. Wheel of Fortune, damn. For there to be glory to God, more or less, and that meaning in the sense of justice, there being a justification for what is fair, what is right, what is righteous, by way of the example of this situation, that unfortunately it would take a face such as hers in such dire straits to really bring awareness to the unfairness of this circumstance for her and for anyone. And here's the Wheel of Fortune, which is everything that I said. It's like you're seeing the possibility of what it could have been for you. Let's look at it that way. Like what it could have been for you if you were in this, in this the vulnerability of such a threat, maybe on a smaller scale, hell, maybe on a larger scale. I don't know your life, but if there was such a vulnerability here that you overcame that threat of overthrowing great odds and surmounting great feats to stay, not only to stay alive, but to stay true to yourself, and even to ascend to your truest self, or be in that, on that trajectory for sure, then that would be the expression, the reflective force in Wendy of what it could be, that you could have fallen victim to your vices, that you could have been prey for piranha, professionally and otherwise, that you could just be, a shell of the person that you were at your most vibrant self, which is sad to see above else, because call Wendy what you want. She ain't never looked so bad, like never. And it's really saddening and sickening to me to see her deteriorate in such a way. So, congratulations to you, and bless the Lord, oh your soul, for having surmounted such great odds, for sure, and to have ascended to the possibility of evolving into a much more fortunate fate for yourself on account of what you've incurred, not only just survived, but have thrived on account of, in sometimes dire circumstances and with great forces against you. And now it's inevitable at this point that as this wheel is turning, so are the tables on those forces that were against you, and also turning in favor of the fortune that is for you, that's always been destined for you. It was just a bit of a training ground of sorts, maybe a little bit more extraneous than it was supposed to be at times, but nonetheless you persevered in the strength card. And not only is there a cause for celebration in the earth, but certainly in the heavens, because that means that your entire legacy gets to advance beyond this cycle, this continuous cycle of poverty and dementia, let's call it what it is, of you not remembering the value of who you were designed to be. Like, get into it, how that connects even with the Wendy thing, of you just not remembering who your soul is as a reflection of source. The sheer loss of memory itself could have had, and did in some ways, detrimental effects to your destiny, had it not been for the awakening that occurred on account of your devotion to that self-discovery. So congratulations to you. You did it. You're doing it. Keep on going. Keep on doing you, as I said. No matter what opposition or opinions, objections may arise, there is evidence clearly that you made the right decisions, and that had you not, it could have been something quite different for you in reality. Like I said, not to make Wendy the poster child of despair, but we all got eyes. And if you can see what I see, it's something very unfortunate happening with someone that had all the facility and fortune in the world, so you could take that at face value, or allow it to resonate even deeper, as I've touched on a bit, but certainly know that that's the fate that you have avoided in real time. And now you're on a trajectory to something even more fantastic with the Temperance card over here. Like, there's something, and I mean, hell, the Wheel of Fortune is the jackpot of all jackpots. It's like energies have been plotting on you all along because of this promise, because of this potential, of what was more or less like assigned to your energetic signature. You came really ready-made to inherit this fortune, just being born at such a time as this. And there were energies, as I said, that were much more aware of that reality and that truth of you than you were at some point in time, which made you the prime target to try to siphon that energy off of you, literally like drain you dry, deplete you of every value that you had before you could figure out exactly how much you had, to literally take guardianship over your fortune, conserving it only keeping you alive long enough to conserve the energy for themselves so that they could absorb it as their own fortune, as they depleted you to less than nothing, as they're waiting to trying to do to Wendy, to more or less allow her to drink herself into oblivion so that they could just sweep up all of that fortune. That ain't gonna go to her son. They'll be fighting in court till he's Wendy's age before he sees a dime of that money, if it continues to go on the trajectory that it's on. But I digress again. It wasn't about Wendy, it's about you, and of course the inflection of the truth of what could have been against what actually is and what has yet to be, or I should say what just already is so, because the Wheel of Fortune is here, which means that is the presence of prosperity alive and well, even right now. And you're in a perfect alignment to be it. All right. So again, much love and congratulations for the celebration that is in order for you, of you, by you, with you, and all the heavenly hosts above on that same accord. And thank you for listening and watching. Until next time, protect yourself as you hear all these sirens. Stay grounded, stay vigilant of who's around you while you're gaining access to all these great fortunes. Be mindful of the company that you keep and share as you feel guided and assigned to do so, but invest wisely in the advancement of creation as you feel designed to contribute to it. Sometimes that don't look like family and friends that you thought you would always drag to the top with you, or drag to go shopping, or drag to buy houses and cars and things of that sort. Sometimes that looks like building opportunities and building out the vision of something that's going to be far more sustainable, perhaps for those that intimate legacy, but even far more beyond, more futuristic of a foresight than what is present day. You're building a legacy that's going to last the test of time. To again consider the ancients that are in celebration for your presence, are celebrating for you, creating the advancement of whence at some point you will be the ancient of, if you get what I'm saying. Bigger picture, as Jupiter insists and projects, far more expansive, beyond even what you can perceive for yourself in real time right now. We're talking about galactic generational wealth. Ooh, I like that. I like that. All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.